Welcome to GAC Time, where we discuss all things General Hospital. So put your feet up, get your teacups, get your snacks, and let's begin. General Hospital Daily Recap for April 17, 2026. Let's see what our favorite bunch of characters are up to. So, Ethan's back. Ethan Lovett is back in Port Charles. Guys, if you have not seen my feature video that I did on Ethan, you should check that out. So Ethan was at the pier. He was making a phone call and I don't know who he was speaking to. He said he was waiting for something. And then Lulu came. And it's funny because just before Lulu came up, she was thinking about Luke. And then she saw Ethan and she was just really happy to see her brother. So they were doing more of a catch up kind of thing. And she was saying, well, who's after you? Because that's the only reason why she thinks she would see him in Port Charles, right? That's messed up. But, Ethan was like, no one's after him right now. He just wanted to come and see her. She's been out of that coma for a while and he has not seen her since she got up. And well, at least that's what he's telling her. And then they just started going down memory lane. She showed them pictures of the kids. And at the end of everything, she told Ethan that he should come and stay with her at his house. And Ethan was, at first he was like, I don't want to put you out. But then she insisted and he said he was going to stay. It's going to be funny because remember now, they're covering this whole thing about Rocco. So maybe she'll confide in Ethan. And maybe Ethan to give her better advice than fake Nathan. But other than that, Ethan, she was like, okay, it's time to go home. And Ethan was like, no, I got to make one more stop. Carly and Lucas, Carly actually had Lucas over so she can have dinner with him. He's going through the whole thing because Marco's gone. And Lucas said he was happy to be over there because the chef at Windermere won't even let him go into the kitchen and cook anything, right? So he was asking Carly for a garlic press or whatever, and he went into her box because she said it's probably in the box. When he went in there, he found some raisins. So at first he was thinking they were Jack's, but he was like, I hope he's not shaving off his little goatee because it looks good on him. I'm like, whatever. And then Carly admitted, she's like, no, that's not for Jack, that's for my other man. I'm like, ooh, okay. So they Carly kind of confided in Lucas to tell him that she cheated on Jack, which is kind of good in a way that she was able to tell her. She didn't say with who, she just kind of was telling Lucas about what's going on. One thing about Lucas, Lucas is nosy. Lucas was like, I'm not leaving until you tell me what's going on. I want to know the whole details. So anyway, Carly goes down, tells him about, how she feels about this guy. And we all know the guy's Valentine, but she didn't say Valentine. But she really likes Valentine. She was just like, this person makes me feel, it's easy to talk to him. I don't have to be going out of my way like I did with Drew and even with Brennan. She said he doesn't judge her and stuff like that. Um, so Lucas could see she really, really likes him. But Carly just said, you know what? We were brought together by circumstance. Once the circumstance is over, she feels like the whole relationship is going to dissolve. Now, this probably is the reason why Carly is keeping Valentine at arm's length because she's catching feelings for him. Valentine on court feelings for her. But she's thinking this can only end by either him running on he's going to be on the run, or he may not be here anymore. Brennan catches him, he may lock him underneath the prison, if not try to kill him. So I could see kind of why Carly is like trying not to get really close to Valentine, but I think it's too late. She's all in this. But Lucas was like, he's not judging. She's got to do what she thinks is right. He doesn't agree with the cheating, but he sees that Carly does really enjoy who this person is. So we shall see what happens with this. Christina and Michael were talking. So Michael brought over Donna's book bag because Donna left it wherever. And once he dropped it off, Christina and Michael got into a conversation about Willow and, his situation. Oh no, wait, let me go back. They were given Christina was reading reviews about the opening of Charlie. So she was going through the whole thing and she was like, oh, I got good reviews. But then he said, oh, here's one about Jacinda. And then she's like, oh, never mind. So Michael was like, what did it say? So the review said, the girl, the woman had a nice voice, but it's too bad she's with a psychopath, a psychopath killer or something like that, and that she need to get out, get away from him. So Michael was just like, see, like his reputation is shot, right? So that's how they got into the conversation about Willow. But he was like, he is convinced Willow did it. We all know Willow did it, but Michael's still saying that, that Willow did it. He doesn't have any proof because Christina was asking him, "Do you have proof?" He said no, but he's still trying to figure out how to get it. You know what's funny when I hear these things, right? Don't people know Spinelli? Isn't Spinelli like the king hacker? So I'm like, can't they just ask Spinelli to look for this footage? But whatever. Um, Michael was going on. He said once he finds this information out, he's going to go try to take Willow back to court to get full custody of the kids. Christina was against this. She was like, "You shouldn't do this because this is what we went through with our parents." And she was talking about how she had anxiety all the time. Michael was saying how he was felt as a kid. He had to keep the family together and stuff like that. Now, I agree with Christina on one way because she's saying it, but this ain't normal circumstances, right? Willow is accused of pow-powing Drew. I don't know if I would want my kids being around somebody that's going, even as bad as Drew is, we know he's irritating, but to go in there and actually do that to him is a bit much. That shows she's a little unstable. So I understand what Christina is saying. She's saying, listen, you shouldn't be dragging these kids back and forth to court. You shouldn't be dragging us back and forth to court because none of us want to see another custody battle. But I do think that Michael should see about that lady need to get some therapy or something before she can see these kids, or have full or half custody or whatever with these kids. But whatever. After that, Michael leaves, and then Christina, somebody knocks at the door. She opens the door, and it's Ethan. So Ethan was like, he looks really happy to see Christina. So what I'm hoping for is that Christina stops with that whole Jacinda thing and starts focusing on Ethan for a little bit. All right. So I told you my views. I don't want to see her with her brother's girlfriend. You need to just not do that. Bring somebody else in if they don't want to do Ethan. But I'm interested to hear what their conversation is going to be. Guys, if you haven't already, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel. Well, Wiley was at the restaurant with his mother, and Wiley was just going on and on about his spider project and how he, got a good grade on it and stuff like that. So Willa was all interested in it, and then found out Jacinda walks in. So Wiley got excited. He was like, Jacinda, because remember Jacinda helped him with that project. So Willow's face is all twisted up, right? She's just looking at her, and then Jacinda gave Wiley a high five, and she walked out the door. Later on, after Willow dropped off Wiley to his friend's house, she went up to Jacinda's job and started trying to go off on Jacinda. It was like, "You're not gonna be around my kids no more." She's calling her a hooker and all types of other stuff, right? Jacinda read her all around the room, up and down. She told Willow off. And she was just like, she called her everything but Willow, okay? So anyway, Jacinta was really going at her about Drew and how Drew's a bad person, and she was like, "You regret it now because you don't lost your husband, messing around with that man and stuff like that." She said you looking for somebody to blame and all this other stuff. So Jacinta hit the nail right on the head when it came to Willow. Willow was like, "You are not going to see my kids anymore because of calling her a bad person. She got an arrest record and she's a prostitute." And I'm like, you wanted your kids to be around Drew, right? I mean, come on now. With that, Michael walked up, and Michael's face does not look happy. He looked like he getting ready to tell Willow all the way off. But I think Willow was kind of threatening, like, she getting ready to go take this kids back to court again so she can get custody or something like that because Michael want to see Jacinda. Jacinda got a job, right? Didn't Willow come up to the spot that she's working? She works for for her mother. She's an executive assistant or whatever that is Jacinda's doing over there. She ain't on the streets no more. Leave that woman alone. Valentine confronted Nina, okay? And Nina was all shocked because Valentine was in her apartment having a drink. And I mean, he was drinking. Anyway, he kept on drinking. I was like, Dad, how many drinks are you going to have? But anyway, he was telling Nina that he knows what she was up to. She feeding information to Brennan. So Nina put it together. She said, well, Charlotte knows. So he was like, yeah, Charlotte's a smart girl. She figured that out. So Valentine tells Nina, look, Nina actually told Valentine the reason why she's doing it. So Valentine was like, that makes sense. He said, from now on, I want you to feed him. I'm going to give you information and feed that to Brennan. Nina is scared to do it because she was like, if Brennan finds out, he's going to leak that video out about Willow. But Valentine is 100% right. He is like, he's going to leak that video anyway. So you might as well go with me and I'll help you and we're going to get rid of Brennan and you be, in the clear. But Valentine's right. I don't care what she does or how much information she feeds to him or whatever. He's going to release that video. That's why I said that whole thing with telling him that they were going to tell Carly if he releases it. That don't mean nothing to him. He's just biding his time. So I think her safe bet is to go with Valentine. Hopefully Nina don't find out she's been staying. I mean, he's been staying at Carly's, because that's going to be a whole nother world problem. But we'll see what kind of information Valentine is going to feed to Nina shortly. Ezra has finally sobered up, right? So Laura was giving Ezra some like pills or aspirin or whatever, because he probably got a hangover. And then Ezra jumps up and he's like, "Why did you do that tape?" He was like, "Oh, did you release it to everybody and stuff like that?" And I'm like, "Everybody's not like you. You need to calm down." So Laura was like, "No, I didn't take that video to give it to anybody. I took it so I could show you how you was looking." And then, Ezra couldn't believe it because, he just thinks everybody's slimy like him. But then Laura said some other stuff. And then Ezra realized, Laura is really a kind person because she's concerned about him. And then from there, Ezra started feeling really bad because he was just like, "You know what? I think it's my fault that Sidwell went after you." And she's like, "Well, what do you mean?" Because at first Laura was like really concerned. She was like, "Did you tell him to put Dalton's body in my car?" And he was like, "No, I didn't tell him to do that." He said, "I just told him that he had to get some leverage on you." And Laura was like, leverage to a normal person means like she's taking bribes, not putting a body in somebody's trunk. So she doesn't blame Ezra for this. She's just like, "No, this Sybil's crazy." So she was like, "I came up with a plan. I think this will work." And then she kind of was just like running through this plan. So Ezra was like, he's willing to try anything at this point. He's like, "Okay, I'm gonna help." So she was telling him, which I agree. It's the way Sidwell is acting about that flight helipad that he wants to get done. He's acting kind of frantic. He's like, he needs it now. Why do you need a helipad that fast? All right. So she's like, it's got to be more than just I want to park here. So she wants Ezra to go find out the flight plans, and hopefully they can get the FAA and the WSB involved, and she's even hoping the FBI. So I hope Ezra will be all right, because honestly, the way he's been falling apart lately, he may go out and mess up, and then next thing you know, Sidwell going to just do something to him. But we shall see what happens with this. I don't know. Let's keep our fingers crossed for Ezra. But I'm glad these two are working together. Hopefully they get something accomplished, because it's time. I think it's way past time that Sidwell and his little minions go down. I know we probably got to see this project is completed and see what the nonsense is with that, but it's time for Sidwell to get on out of here. So guys, tell me what you think in the comment section. What was your favorite part? What was your least favorite part? And have a happy weekend. And don't forget to hit that bell notification and to like and subscribe, because it really helps the channel. And thank you for joining us again at GHT Time. Till next time, bye.